And you're welcome back. The United Nations is dedicating June 27 each time of every year to celebrating micro, small and medium-sized enterprises across the world. The essence of the celebration is to raise awareness on the contribution of these MSMEs to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. The Netherlands, Kingdom of Netherlands and the European Union says it is partnering with the government of Ghana to ensure that green employment is increased and also opportunities created for more people living here in Ghana. And that's the reason why we want to have the conversation today, to create more awareness and also to celebrate some individuals doing amazing in that world of the MSMEs. I want to bring in now my guests who are helping us to do the discussion. Let's hear from Mr. Peter van Helvert, who's the Deputy Head of the European Delegation to Ghana. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We'll also be speaking to a few more individuals who are also running MSMEs successfully and also increasing the green campaign. Thank you, Peter, for joining us. Let's start off with this whole idea, the dedication and the support the European Union is giving to MSMEs. For those who do not know about the green project or green businesses, what do you consider to be a green business, by the way?
So thanks for having me. A green business, we consider anything in the new green economy, and the background is we in Europe endeavor to be the first continent by 2050 to be carbon neutral, CO2 neutral, which is a big challenge, of course, but under the leadership of Mr. Frans Timmermans, we will get there. But if Europe does it alone, it's not enough. Europe is just a smaller part of the world, right? So we work with our partners in other countries, continents, Africa, and specifically in Ghana. And here in Ghana, we're happy to partner with the Netherlands Embassy, with SNV, and with the UN on green. And what are we doing in this endeavor? We are specifically targeting youngsters, specifically targeting women, to set up their business. They may have a good idea, but they may not have necessarily the access to finance, the access to the knowledge, the access to commercializing and PR and all of that. So we are helping with that, training, incubation, and seed money. And we have seen already some amazing examples. This morning, for instance, I was with them in the news of people who now have their business thriving, and they indeed are trainer of trainers. They in their community, they make sure they have good teaching of the community on green business.
And since you're talking about the support you provide, how do you go identifying these quote-unquote green businesses?
Mm-hmm. Good question. So the program is a total of 20 million euros for the coming years. We work with SNV, which is also happens to be a Dutch NGO, identifying the people who have a good idea. So they have their criteria, but long story short, it needs to be people who have a good idea. Of course, in the green business, it should be green. I can give a number of examples. In Kumasi, we met a guy called Edward. He's in the business of recycling waste. This morning we were with people who have a citronella for anti-mosquito spray, making dolls, also collecting waste near Takoradi, up in Tamale as well. So it needs to be, of course, environmental friendly. It needs to be, I'm just a simple diplomat, but it needs to business, savvy wise, so there needs to be potential. And indeed, we saw already examples of people now employing 10, 15 people, so it needs to generate work as well, of course. And now, today, we see around 12,000 people benefiting from this program, so we're very happy with the results so far.
Okay, let's get to the whole conversation, and this is global, because whilst we're doing this, it's part of that collective effort to ensure that we push, first of all, the green agenda and we meet the SDG targets. How is this also feeding into the green economy, which Ghana could benefit from?
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you asked. So indeed, it is around the SDGs, particularly SDG 12, responsible ways of production and consumption, and it is around the Paris agenda. And as I said in the beginning, Europe has now the Green Deal, so we commit ourselves to the CO2 neutrality by 2050. But of course, Ghana also ascribed to the Paris Agenda and to the SDGs. So it's a collective endeavor. Europe cannot do it alone, Ghana cannot do it alone, we're here to help. And we work, of course, together with the government, but only government to government is not enough. It's business to business, so we work with a business here, small and medium, which we celebrate today, but also bigger business, and then academia and civil society. So it's a whole endeavor for everybody to come together because the challenges are so huge that in the end, no action can do it alone. At the same time, as I said this morning as well, let's call for some optimism. If you look at the news, look at everything going on, the hurricanes and wars and what have you, and droughts, one could have the temptation to just stay home and shut the curtains and all that. But the idea of this, of course, is to stay positive and to see the possibilities in the green economy. Giving the seed money, giving the training, giving the incubation for young Ghanaians, female and male, to start their green business and generate employment for other Ghanaians.
And from these amazing success stories that you're pointing out to earlier, how is that practically going to impact on the environment in tackling the issue of, for instance, climate change?
Well, for instance, if you look at Kumasi and the guy we met there, Edward, he's doing a business and making business with waste. So with the waste collection, he is employing people already. Of course, that makes Ghana greener, cleaner, and in the end, safer. This morning, we were in the studio with a woman from Takoradi. She said, I was asked, yeah, you're a graduate. Why are you even doing this collection of waste? And she said, why not? I'm generating employment and I'm making my own city cleaner and greener. So indeed, it is starting small. There is a lot to be done still. The majority of the jobs are not yet green, but we're getting there. And the idea is also providing, the seed money and the training and the incubation to make Ghana again greener and cleaner and leave Ghana better for our children and for our children's children, together with all the partners I mentioned.
We'll hear from some of the beneficiaries shortly, but beyond the support you're giving to MSMEs, you're equally taking a number of activities targeted at this whole conversation of climate change. What other interventions are taking place at your outfit at the European Union Commission?
So at the European Union, we have a program for the next 4 years to the tune of 200 million euros, and it is broken down in 3 parts. So it is the green economy we talked about. It is also, the sustainable cities. So, you have the big cities here in Accra, but also Kumasi, many people living together. So it's about their access to services, access to food, access to clean energy. And then the third bigger chunk is on the whole good governance, basically, also in security. On the green again, I was recently in Wa, so we have there a big program on agriculture, the EU GAP program it is called, to the tune of 132 million euros, making sure the farmers have access to markets. And also there, as the northern part of Ghana is the poorer part, so it's important to us to not only stay as diplomats here in Accra, in the capital, or in our offices, but to go out there. We were in Wa, we were in Takoradi, we were in Tamale, we were in Kumasi, to see the programs in the field.
Okay, I have one more question for you about the essence, and for those who are not convinced about the conversation surrounding climate change and why they need to get on board. But before we do that, I'm also really happy to learn about, for instance, what the likes of Vida and Nieje are doing. In her case, for instance, and she's running one of the MSMEs, she's converting waste products into dolls for babies and for children, if I should say. Vida, welcome to the program, and I'm just wondering what inspired this whole idea for you. Hello, Vida. Unfortunately, we've lost Vida due to the poor network connections that we're having. But Peter, back to the issue about, okay, yes, let's try one more time and see if we'll get Vida to share her story with us. Vida, are you there with us? Okay. Vida, if you can hear me, I was just asking about what inspired you to take this action. Peter, the question about those who are not convinced, and you know that there are skeptics about this whole climate change conversation. How do we get to convince them to get on board?
That's a great question. It's a whole mentality thing, I think. It's difficult for me to see how you're not convinced just, following the news, everyday news, and you see the weather patterns anywhere around the world, United States, Europe, you name it, Africa and Asia. But even if you're not convinced about what's happening, you can also make, even the business case that green is really the future. Because we don't want to see it or frame it as either or. This program and other programs we're running, it's and both creating jobs, both tackling poverty and doing tackling the climate change. So when you do look at the future, where is the future? The future is, we are really convinced of that, in green jobs, in the green economy. That is what we're doing, and that's what we're convinced of. That's why we're doing it at home with the your Green Deal, and that's why also we are working, abroad, specifically also in Ghana, with our partners on this green project.
Are you still open to, assisting any other MSME that will be willing to embark on this journey with you?
Sure. And so the program is still running, so we're still open to have new people on board, provided they have a good idea and provided, it is within the criteria. We're happy to work with new partners. As I said, the current program is running now 21 to 24. As it happens, we will also have, it's a bit of a technical term, but midterm review. So we're always open to encounter new partners, meet with them, talk to them, and if they provide the criteria, take them on board.
Yeah. And then, of course, they'll be smiling on their way home, definitely, because there will be some reward to it. And that's why I want us to hear from Vida. Vida, earlier we were having some challenges with your network. I was just asking about your unique story of how you're using waste products to convert them into dolls for children. What's inspiring this story? Hello, Vida, I can see you. I'm just asking what's inspiring your decision to do this.
Okay, please, this is Georgina, not Vida.
It appears Georgina is also one of the MSMEs joining us. But yes, you're still welcome, Georgina. So let's talk about your story as well. In your case, what are you doing and how do you feel that this green project has been very helpful?
Okay, thank you very much. I am into solid waste management. Using our innovative ideas in creating dustbins we give to households, institutions and communities, teaching them how to start the waste segregation at the home level. At the end of every week, we go around to our clients, we evacuate the waste, we take the food waste to our compost site, we produce organic compost with it.
Okay, and when you do that, do you sell the compost or what do you do next? Not a really favorable day for us, but we need to go. So let me get back to you, Peter, on the way forward and what message you have on this day as we celebrate MSMEs and also their contribution to attaining the SDGs. What would that message be?
Mm-hmm. We're very privileged and happy to work with SMEs here in Ghana. As we see, it's a backbone of the economy, really, as it is, by the way, in our own countries in Europe. I am very privileged to work with them. I was very inspired by the stories I heard this morning by Gina and Emmanuel and also Edward and others, indeed, on how they work with waste, e-waste, waste even to make dolls. I couldn't have imagined it, but, it happens and it is feasible and works very well. Also, I want to stress.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes, we'll get back to you shortly. Just wrap up for me briefly, Peter.
Just to stress, we also work on what we call the circular economy. We handed out also, as part of our 20 million year program, prizes to the tune of 100,000 Ghana cedis to provide this seed money And indeed, we are looking forward to work again with the Ghanaians to continue this green program with SNB in the Netherlands.
All right, then. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we'll do the conversation, of course, later on in our subsequent bulletins. But thank you for spending some time with us. Of course, we'll be getting to some more stories for you. You're with us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll definitely get back with some stories. Please stay.